is unavailable. This is so interesting. I find this fascinating. Am I live? I'm going to check all the places because now it's telling me that I cannot be. That's the replay. Am I? No, I don't think I'm live on. Yeah, I'm not live on X now. Wow. I went from being able to be live on X and not YouTube. And now when I reconnect everything, it says I can't be live on YouTube. Woo, Nelly. Okay, so now I'm going to check YouTube. Good Lord. I mean, want to talk about. Oh, it's still. Nelly. I don't think it's still not connecting all the things that it should be connecting. Of course. Wow. Okay. Well, nobody's here anyway. But I'm going to see if I can. So I'm going to see because I'm waiting for people to come in because I am live. It's just that things got all wackadoodle. I'm not sure what exactly happened. But I'm attempting to fix. Actually, I'm going to put it for some reason my podcast is in there twice. I do not know why. Oh, it's still doing that same. Oh, wow. Okay. Then I am going to do this manually. And I'm still waiting for people to show up. So, I'm just like, It's okay. I mean, you know what? It's to be expected when you're going to talk about the spiritual war and demons and, well, we're going to get into it. But when we are, got that on the table to talk about a lot of the time, and I'm not being hyperbolic, I'm not being dramatic, I'm just stating what is true. And what is true is that when it comes to spiritual war stuff, this spiritual warfare, dark attacks, any of this kind of stuff, there is always opposition. And I've been in that kind of energy all day because I'm updating my spiritual war guide to be published on Kindle and on Amazon. And I've got a professional that's working with me from Pakistan. And she seems really sweet. And so hopefully in the next few days, the spiritual war guide is being totally edited. I'm taking a bunch of stuff out. I'm adding some new stuff to the spiritual war guide, you guys. I'm so excited. Yeah, that was my last big. Oh, I'm pasting the wrong spot. I got all distracted with myself. That was one of my last big downloads recently was that I was to look on Fiverr for somebody to basically set up my all the books and the spiritual war guide and the Oh, the Soul Quest map book, because now you can do the Soul Quest without me in a group. It's way less expensive and self-paced. Totally do your own thing with or without the spirit walks. I highly suggest the spirit walks. And I think anybody who has done the Soul Quest program, excuse me, will say the same thing. But I was guided to offer it without them. But you can always add them later. You are, like I said, highly advised to do that. But it is deep energy work, it's deep activations, it's highly spiritual, very soul and energy connecting. So yeah, not everybody may want to do that right away. So yeah, I'm super excited about it. If you were to go to my list of programs that are available, let me just show you really quick. Giving people a little bit more time because there's all this confusion. Am I live? Am I not live? To come in. So welcome to anybody who's here. I'm not seeing that anybody's here on my console, so I'm not sure. Like, things are definitely wackadoodle, but here on on my app, it looks like 4 of you are there. So thanks for being there. If you can drop into the chat and let me know that you're here, I would appreciate that. For now, let me just show you what we have going on here with where you can take a look at. Well, this is a spiritual war guide, so I'll just take you here first. This is the page that it's on. That's not where I was going to take you, but we're here, so that must mean something. So the way that I had it set up before is that I was guided to write an article back in September around right when the eclipse portal was, we were getting close to the eclipse portal at the end, in September, the beginning of September. And it was like, you need to write an article about the spiritual war. Things are going to be seriously ramping up from now in perpetuity. It's going to only get more intense with the spiritual war and what the dark side's going to be up to, and everything that's coming is on a whole new level, and people need to be aware. And so stop what you're doing, which was, I was getting into editing and setting up several things for publishing. And I was like, seriously, I finally cleared space to do all this. And now I've got to completely pivot and write about the spiritual war. And so what started off as an article ended up being an over 100-page document. And well, I found out today when I was going through it that I had like a whole chunk that I had written and then that I edited with AI, because why not? I'm not ashamed to admit, like, AI didn't write this. I did, but AI helped me edit it. But then, like, I guess I didn't take a part out that I had edited. So there was some redundancy there. Not a ton, but a little bit. It was like I was reading it. And I'm like, wait a minute. I just read that like 3 pages ago. What's going on? So I apologize for any of you that read that. Why didn't you tell me? Like, hey, I think you have like a duplicate spot in here, unless none of you read that anyway. But anyway, I'm editing the spiritual war guide. It is right now. And I've got to take it off actually, but it has been available as a download by donation based, as a Google Doc. And that was so you can go in there and write notes or whatever. And then I made it available through my Ascension portal that I had on my, I don't see any chat either. Is this whole thing just, I'm going to get into the live here and see. Yep, that's what's going on. Okay. Okay. So Laura says, hi, I'm here. So I'm going to have this open because I'm not seeing any chat. I'm going to chat in here. Is this working? It's all funkadoodle. I don't think my chats are coming through either. Wow. Um, but I think that
Not a ton, but
okay. So I am okay. So that is at least working, but it looks like my chats aren't coming through. So yeah, interesting what's going on here. But I'm gonna look here for your chats. That sucks. But at least that's working. Uh, it's wild, but I've used this now a few times. Oh, it's saying it just said 4, but they're not showing up. That is really interesting. Okay. Well, anywho, this has been available through joining my Ascension portal. First, it was on. Did I ever have it? No, I never had it on Mighty. I don't think I had my other groups on Mighty, but on my website. But I had technical issues with the app and me being able to post, and it was really frustrating. And so I couldn't really even try to engage with people. But anyway, people got it through there and it was donation based. But anyway, long story short, the whole group thing just isn't working right now. I just don't think people have the energy for it, quite frankly, or aren't into posting and engaging. Maybe they're not doing that on any social media. I don't know, but I decided and it came through. Okay, we're going to close down the whole group thing. I'm not doing an open free ascension portal for empaths to meet or to engage with me away from social media anymore. If you want to follow me and comment on my posts and stuff, I post on my YouTube community. So the regular posts that you would see on YouTube, and I do post there, not a ton, but I don't get really any engagement anywhere that I post. So it makes it so I don't post. You know what I mean? It's like if I got engagement and comments and likes and people posting in my community on YouTube or would have engaged when it was on my website or on Mighty or sorry, on the school platform, which is what I did last time. If people were really engaging or even engaging with just me, if not in their own right, more, then it would be worth my time, money, energy, mental and spiritual bandwidth. But since people have not been doing that, and I gave it quite a long time, and it was like, yeah, I need to create space. I need to cut out things that drain me, that isn't reciprocal, basically. So then it was like, okay, no more free portal. I'm still going to have my groups, and those groups are going to have their own portals. And that's a whole other story. When people are in actually the groups, they tend to engage more. It's still not a ton, but it's definitely more when people are actually working with me in a group. So I'm going to continue to do that, but I'm just not doing the open portal anymore. To me, it was very important, and it came through. Let's see how this goes. If people want to get this information about the spiritual war, if they it's a lot to digest. It is a lot to digest the actual reality of what's going on and what has been going on. But it is what is happening and what has been happening. It's the light, it's the dark, it's us incarnates that are meant to awaken and understand what's going on so we can strategically work together to dismantle the fear-based material matrix. But that takes people actually being aware and conscious and activated and motivated to do their work for themselves. Because the sooner you do your work for yourself, and that means get past whatever it is that has you stuck, whatever it is that has you in a state of chronic not feeling good in some way or another, energetically, physically, psychically, um And sorry, just checking the chat here. If you're doing loops instead of moving forward and evolving and living the life you really know you should be living, in whatever way, if you're waking up, if you're spiritually waking up, you're supposed to at different levels of where you're at, of course, become aware of reality as it is, not as we've always seen it. And that's how most people are spiritually awakening. They're not fully awakening to the whole thing that's going on. They're partially awakening because there's all these people that are seemingly or call themselves spiritual guides, and that they know what's going on, or whatever. And because they don't, then the people that go to them or listen or follow them don't, because they're not seeing everything. And then there's false stories that are being implanted into the spiritual world. And there is a lot of bullshit out there when it comes to spirituality. It is really mind-blowing, just how wild it can be. Like, I posted the other day I didn't post, I commented on something on X, and then one of the replies was, well, after April 7th, apparently nobody's being born, nobody's dying, something else is like, and something else, I can't remember what. And I was like, what are you talking about? What in the world are you talking about? And there's this one account on X that posted that after the 7th that was happening. Nobody's being born, nobody's dying, some other wackadoodle shit. And I'm like, yeah, I can't. I don't know. There's just so much. So anyway, back on track with the spiritual war guide. So then it was like, all right, so what we're going to do is just offer it as a download. And it's still by donation, and you make a donation and you get the link to the Google Doc. And that's the way it's been for the last couple weeks now. And then a few days ago, it came through that I need to publish it, and not in part, but in full. And so shortly, we're going to be working with getting this a book that you could download on Kindle and buy on Amazon on paperback. And like I said, it's going to be very different if you've already read it. There's stuff I'm taking out, stuff I'm putting in. And that is what I was working on earlier for the last like 3-4 hours before getting ready to come live. And it's very interesting how getting on here to do this live, all these things are going wrong. It was interesting too, because as I was rereading the Spiritual War, a guide, that's really what it's called, not the Spiritual War guide. It's the Spiritual War, a guide. And I talk in the beginning about that, all the challenges, all the things that happened and that were going on right as in the 2 weeks that I was writing the Spiritual War guide back in September. And I had just had not thought about that at all. No times for months now, I guess, since I've been thinking about and always seemingly having to talk about the spiritual war, that I recalled all the shenanigans that were going on I had large chunks of it just spontaneously delete on various platforms. I had all sorts of, like, my computer would get blazingly hot when I was working on it. It wouldn't save, it would be super slow. It was just challenge after challenge. There was like, they were not construction, but there were these big bulldozers taking rocks from the river, and it was extremely loud for like 12 hours a day, every day for about over a month. Uh, there was just all of these things going on right when I was, working on all of that. Trust me, it's not paranoia. It's just what happens. I'm being guided to see these things, to remember these things, and especially when I get into doing work like writing the spiritual war guide, like having lives like this where we're going to get into talking about this stuff in a really real, very true way. But anyway, I digress. So the spiritual war guide, I just realized you guys haven't been able to see me this whole time. Sorry. Where is that? Sorry, here we go. Sorry guys. I just realized as I was looking at my view here. So I apologize. It's just been stuck there. So you've just been able to listen to me. I appreciate you if you're still listening to me. But anyway, soon it will be available for download and purchase in the material way. But what I wanted to take you to is, and I'm going to change the layout so you can see me. Hey, sorry, didn't mean to be such a stranger. Right here, groups, programs, and plans. Let me zoom in here. Groups. I have to make that font just a little bit bigger, but I have a lot. So, and if you go to list of available programs, this is the Soul Quest. And so there's various ways you can do the Soul Quest and the other initiations that you can do and start at any time. And I highly suggest the Soul Quest one way or another. And I am publishing the Soul Quest Maps book, so you can actually get a hard copy of it. But you can also just take the program and download the pages and print the pages from your computer. So you don't need that, but that's a new thing that I'm doing. So people can find it and decide how they want to engage with it. So I'm super excited about that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is actually get into the video here with make sure this is doing what it should do here. Okay, with Joe Rogan and Duncan Trussell. Now, let me just preface this by saying that I'm going to smooth. Why can't I now see? There we go. I'll put that back in just a second, but I want to kind of do a little preview here. For a long time, this past several years, I was guided to learn about Joe Rogan and his podcast and really to see what people are consuming on that level. And it's the most popular podcast in the world. Each one of his episodes just on YouTube, and he's like audio everywhere. He's on Spotify also exclusively, so he posts his podcast to YouTube and Spotify. So I think all in all he probably gets between 1 million to several million views or listens to per episode. And it, of course, depends on who he has on. But Duncan Trussell is one of his best friends. He's a comedian, but he's also really into the mystical esoteric. He's into all sorts of different religions and psychedelics, and he's just like the alien stuff, the AI, like you name it. Duncan is into it. He's thought about it. He's looked into it. He's read about it. Sorry, guys. Oh my gosh, that is good. That is not coffee, by the way. It's cacao. It's ground cacao. It's so good. So just quick sidebar. Get Creo Brew if you haven't yet. Super good. Okay, so they have really interesting conversations, and they always get into this stuff at one point or another, or they circle back to it. And it looks like in this episode, which was about 6 days ago. Oh, what? Yeah, everything is being weird. Okay. Looks like in this episode they go into quite a few things, and so I've highlighted that on the description and on the front cover, the thumbnail of this, the different things that they get into. Now, I only heard the very beginning, so this is kind of a watch along, to be honest with you. The first part where they get into starting to talk about this, at that point I was guided to stop listening and go live and do a watch along and watch together. And so I can respond as we're watching together, and you can ask questions. It's going to be a little bit more complicated, so bear with me now that chat isn't working on the platform that I'm on, but I'll use my phone. So if you have questions or anything you want to say, I really do appreciate your engagement. So if you can, drop your comments as I'm talking about stuff, I would really appreciate it. It gives me energy that I'm just not like there's there's an audience here that's engaging. When you're live, it really does help. So I appreciate your chats quite a lot. Benny, hi Infinity. My name is Ilana. Is that what that says? Elena. And I've just recently found you. Hi, sweetheart. I'm sorry that things are a little wackadoodle. I can see chat on my phone, but it's not coming up here on the console, unfortunately. But thank you for being here. Nicole is here. Hello, very interesting topics. I'm excited to hear the real truth. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And saying hi to Adrian and Karen, and of course Laura, for being here. I really appreciate all of you. Keep the comments coming because that makes it fun. And of course, my throat is acting up. I might go get some honey. Yeah, I'm gonna do that because I'm sure it's annoying for you. It's annoying for me. Honey always helps. So yeah, you guys, this is super interesting. And whoa, get used to me. Okay, it is super interesting. All of it definitely is. I wish I didn't have to talk about this stuff. Let me just say for the record, I don't like this topic. I don't like writing about it. I don't like talking about it. I don't like doing, live streams about it. And if you have not caught yet my Infinite Empath series that I did last week, feels like a long time ago already, but last week, then go watch it when you can. It's a 10-part series, and I get into a lot of good stuff that empaths absolutely need to know. Absolutely need to know this, you guys. And it's free. Of course, I accept donations, and yes, I need money. I'm not rich. Please don't think I'm rich, because I am not rich. I'm month to month. Okay. I don't have too much pride to say that. I am month to month, and actually I'm behind by almost a year on my rent because the spiritual war. So money is definitely needed. Okay. So I take donations, and I appreciate donations. And almost everything that I do is by donation. So, yeah. So anyway, challenging is definitely the way of it when it comes to living the life that I lead, being someone who helps take people out of the control system. And it is a struggle, and it is war, and it is battle all the time. It is never easy. It's challenging, but as I write in the spiritual war guide, and at least a couple of times, now just once since I'm editing, but every single battle just makes me stronger. It makes me understand it get in. I've just gotten stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. So that's all good. That is all good, and that's why life is the way that it is. It's magical and beautiful and all of that. I don't let money put me in fear. I don't let what would have happened before, which is get really, really upset and into a lot of fear when it comes to my home situation, my sacred space, especially this magical place that I was guided to move to activate on the level that I have been since I moved here in December of 2024. And if anything, things are just getting higher and higher and more intense, and the whole Phoenix blueprints and connecting with our divine design and all of this stuff continues to happen, even as and because the war is intensifying. The light is doing so much more since that last set of eclipses in 2025 September. And since then, and especially since the second full moon, the February 1st full moon of this year, 2026, in case you forgot, massive, massive, massive amount of solar activity, solar flares. We had multiple big X class, over 30. We had like 8 or 9 X class. We had like over 30 M class. We had CMEs. And 5 days before that, I recorded my first official podcast on this channel, or for this channel, talking about and that was the full moon. So it was February 1st, the full moon, and things got explosive, and things have just ramped up since then. And so many activations, so many upgrades, so much rearranging and readjusting and changes in perspective for people and new timelines. We can just look at the world and look at what's going on to go, yeah, some spiritual shit is going. I mean, it's literally a spiritual war in real life. I mean, you can't make this shit up. You cannot make this shit up. Go back and watch episode 1 of my podcast and circle back. I know it's a long one. It's over 2 hours or 2.5 hours or some shit, because it was crazy what came through my oracle cards. I mean, this is the deck that I used, and the cards are probably still sitting. I don't know if I've touched them since. Yeah, maybe I have. I don't. Yeah, they're not in the. Those ones are not there. But I talk about being in a divine incarnate. I talk about the spiritual war, the parasites, because here was the thing. I was in a rainbow light with one of my clients, and it was like, we're at a threshold, you're at a threshold, and it's gonna be crazy with the war and the psychic attack that's gonna come your way. You need to be prepared because you're in a threshold point. And what that means is, like, just imagine going through a portal of light. Like when you go, if you were to go through actually what I see, the way I see it, it's like this big portal. It's like you could, like a Stargate kind of thing, you could totally like walk through it, but it's not like you're here, like it's like going in and out of like a doorway here. It's like it's a long like tunnel. So when you're in that threshold, it's usually something that lasts for at least several days to a week or two, typically. And during that time, when you're in that threshold space, when a lot of stuff is shifting and changing and coming in to rearrange your consciousness and have you settle into whatever timeline you're going to, there's a lot that's still literally kind of up in the air. It's not settled in yet. So you're in this threshold space because it's like it's like you're done. You've experienced what you're going to experience. Now it's choice point. Now what are you going to do? Faced with higher timelines, but it's going to be more intense. You're going to be challenged. Your fears are going to be very vulnerable. You're going to feel confused. You're going to have to change a lot of shit. Are you ready? And then so things will happen in that threshold point to test that. And through that threshold is when things start to settle in and then create where you come out. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions about that so far? I'm going to check in here real quick. Hey, we got Nicole and Dan here. Hey guys, nice to see ya. And then Ileana, I hope I'm saying that right. I feel like this month has been so intense, not my life, but my internal being. Ooh, interesting. I feel like this month has been so intense, not my life, but my internal being. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, well, we had the most intense eclipse corridor since the last one. But even since the last one, the one in September, the one that we just had February and March, so February 17th and March 3rd were massive. So we had first the solar eclipse and then we had the lunar eclipse. And it is such a big, exactly what I'm talking about. It is a threshold point. We have these threshold points at least every 6 months to rearrange the paradigm for us. And that's not, it's like, it's a worldwide collective paradigm shift, but it's also very individual. So we can personally have massive paradigm shifts that do affect more than just us, but it's so energetic and part of kind of like how the energy moves undercover with and for each other. Because we all affect each other. We're all in each other's timelines, whether we're conscious of that or not. It may seem separate, except for, if you have like a spouse or, children that you're like, okay, like obviously this is, even though each individual has their own timeline, you have these like little pods of collective timeline, but still every single person has their own perception of reality. And especially if you're dealing with parasites, and we're going to get into that. But the fact of the matter is that things have been very, very intense now for about 6 straight months. And here's the other thing. It's just going to get more and more intense. We've seen this play out in the collective, whether on the micro or the macro. We literally have all of this strife going on politically, humanitarily, and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to spend too much time getting into that. Although, like I was saying earlier, I didn't watch all of these clips because first off, I'm busy. Secondly, when I get told that I'm going to do this, I'm like, all right, then I'm not going to watch it and then watch it again. I've already seen this first bit where they first start talking about it. And that's when I got the download that I was going to do this live. So yeah, we're going to watch that together in real time, and please chime in, send your comments. The more engagement we get in the chat, if you haven't liked yet, please like this stream. Then more people can come in and this information can go out to even more people. Oh yeah, and this is what I was going to say about Joe Rogan. So here's the thing. He being such a prevalent presence in our collective, and it's also been really fascinating to watch his own evolution over the years. And I don't watch every single one of his episodes, obviously, and only some of them I watch partly, just the ones I'm guided to. And yeah. But I did start getting visions shortly after watching him of just sitting across from him, me being on his podcast. And I'm like, that is crazy. That is crazy. And was like, well, you never know. And I'm like, all right. And it was like, look at all that's happened that you would have thought was crazy if you would have been told. And it's like, well, I can't argue with that. So you never know. But a lot of the time he circles around what's real and true. Because here's the thing. He himself is a divine incarnate. He is a messenger. He is who he is because of who he is. He has the audience that he has because of who he is. He talks a lot about how he just like felt compelled to do these various things that he's done. He has a lot of ways that he operates that has light warrior, divine incarnate empath written all over it. He's super duper sensitive. Like, I don't even know how many times he's cried on his podcast. And here he is, this big, well, he's short, but this big muscular man, very alpha, and he'll just get emotional and start crying about stuff. And it's really, really sweet and touching. But what's also funny is that he talks about certain things like psychics and says it's nonsense. Like, people aren't psychic. But then at the same time, he'll say, yeah, it's weird. Like, where do ideas come from? And he's talked about that so many times. And maybe even one of these clips, he talks about that. It'd be funny if he does, because he's like, where do ideas actually come from? And he's like, like this whole thing about the muse and like things just come through, and like so many people doing creative things, just they don't know how they know, they just or are compelled to do whatever they are. They weren't artists before and then they are, and in all these different ways. And he'll just be like, how is this like random? And there's always these talks about, is it a simulation? Because things are so like impossible or weird or so synchronistic or so full circle or so impossible to like do the math on. So it's like everybody just kind of defaults now to it's got to be a simulation, not, oh, it's a spiritual war and it's divine orchestration. It's never that, but that is exactly what it is. It's the spiritual war and divine orchestration. We have influence of the light pulling strings, injecting ideas, inspiring us to do and create. We have to think about every single thing, every single tool, every single piece of technology came from the divine to help us not be bogged, to advance our not only our consciousness, but the way that we operate. Like, we don't, I mean, people can say one is better than the other when it comes to, or more ethical or whatever, but just as an example would be like farming. Like, for the most part, people don't farm the way that they used to farm because they've changed it again, whether that's good or bad, but technology has taken it just by tractors and all this stuff. And just, when you go from walking to carriages to horse-drawn carriages to trains to planes to jets, and who knows what's next when it comes to that. But this is just all of these things, from the calculator to the obviously the first personal or the first computers, and then personal computers, and then of course things like our cell phones. This is all magical we got going on here. We're working with energy and crystals and different types of programs and consciousness that put this all together. So all of you separately can be here with me and watch me, and we can talk back and forth and all of this good stuff. I mean, that is magical. It's just that we've gotten used to looking at things in our reality as normal when we're using, tech and light and all this stuff, the internet and all this good stuff. So, anyway, I think that's it. Before we, I was guided to talk about this stuff with Joe Rogan, and actually for a long time now, it would be great to, so I always thought it would be really fun to have somebody who is kind of like my Joe Rogan partner. Like, we both watch the same episodes, and then we get together, we do a podcast, we do these videos where we just either we watch them in real time together, or we circle back and we talk about them. But I can never find somebody who actually watched Joe Rogan like I was guided to, and actually do that. But this whole thing with responding to him, oh yeah, that's what it was. The reason why it's important is because he is so popular, because so many people watch him, because whether he wants to be or not, he is an influencer because of his popularity. And I was guided to pay attention to that aspect of it. Like, what are people thinking? What are they talking about when it comes to certain things that are going on in our reality? And yeah, so that's why it's important to look at this and then discuss it and put out actual information, because there's a lot of speculation, there's a lot of stories, there's a lot of bullshit out there when it comes to the spiritual war. So we are going to get into it. I am going to pull all of this out together. And please, like I said, if you have not liked yet, please like the video. If you're here watching, I appreciate it. Oh, I got rid of the wrong thing. Okay, of course I did. Give me 1 second. I was being so good here. Just take me a second. Okay. So, everybody good to go? You ready? I'm going to get back into this. Okay. So then what I did was I went to Gemini. When you go to any video on YouTube now, if you just go to the ask, then Gemini will come up and you can literally ask for timestamps. You could ask it, are there any of these, specific topics that are talked about? So because I already knew that that they had talked about this, and because I'd already watched several of their interviews, and they tend to circle back, they get distracted, they go off in different directions, and then they may circle back or whatever. I didn't want to watch the whole thing, so I asked Gemini, you know, what were there any other moments in the video, or where were all the moments of the video that included this type of conversation? And so this is what Gemini said. So let's mark it now. What time is it? So 6:33. Oh, if I've had $1 for every 33 I've seen for the last month. Anybody else have been seeing 33s like crazy? Like crazy town. Okay, the conversation covers the concept of external entities, aliens, or demonic influences controlling or manipulating humans several times throughout the discussion. So, the first time, demonic possession and influence. The speakers discussed the long history of reported demonic possession and the possibility that an advanced species might manipulate humans, similar to how humans engineer weapons or conduct behavioral experiments. And that is at 59:11. So, let me get there as close as I can. And then let me share it with you guys. See? Okay. Okay, so this is at 59:05, and we're gonna see how far. Shoot, sorry. I'm gonna stop it real quick because I want to make sure that the audio is on. Okay. Sorry, guys. Just want to make sure that the audio is on so you guys can listen. All right, there we go. Oh, I'm gonna actually, because he's talking about alien abduction. Seriously? You can't hear it? I have it turned down. So I I on purpose made sure you could hear it. Are you serious? Nobody can hear it? I on purpose made sure you could hear it. Okay. Oh. Okay.
Seriously? You can't hear it?
I'm telling you guys, there's always the craziest amount of interference when I attempt to do this stuff. So let's try again. I now I'm just on the tab itself, so I don't know if that's going to matter, but let's try.
Is that a joke? Neil does not have any special knowledge about the ET bodies and debris from Roswell crash. Stored it right, Pat. Is that a joke?
At this point, with absolutely no sign of him, maybe the best hypothesis is that aliens beamed him up to the mothership. However, no sightings of a mothership hovering over the Sandia Mountains have been reported. There's no way she said that,
That's
right?
a joke.
It's Men's Journal.
There we go.
Well, maybe she's just being funny.
We got it.
Posted a lengthy note on Facebook.
Just a little joke about her husband disappearing.
Right? Maybe she was happy. Maybe she's like, finally, I get to sit home with my romance novels.
Stop talking about aliens.
Yeah, shut your fucking mouth and go for a hike.
Forget the alien bodies. What about your wife's body?
Well, maybe she's just
oopsie.
She's got grace and she could handle someone missing. It's pretty funny though to say it that way.
I mean, it's I guess it's just
unless she knows something.
Where are they going?
Maybe he wanted to leave, and he's like, "Look, I know too much. I'm gonna pretend to go missing, but I'm gonna go to Costa Rica. I mean, don't tell anybody that you know."
I think it's really interesting, this whole thing about the scientists, and then he's going to get into it. I went a little bit too far, but that's still interesting because here are people that know stuff and they're disappearing. That's not, like they're engineers, they're into energy, they're doing experiments, and these people are also getting more conscious. Maybe they're not talking about what they have perceived through spiritual awakening or anything like that. And this we're talking about like pulling apart reality and pointing the light at what's happening in the world for some of us. And not everybody wants you to do that. It's just that simple, whether it's in the 3D or on the other side of the veil and above. That's just something, it's interesting.
Where I went, and I'll send for you.
You know how weird it is
okay,
to see the vice president saying that he thinks aliens are demons.
I did see that.
You know how weird just like living in it.
Okay, so I want to ask you guys, please respond. Tell me, how many of you have heard or even thought for yourself that aliens are actually demons? Please put it in the chat. Let me know what you think about the idea that aliens are actually demons, that instead of it being an extraterrestrial abducting people, that it's actually a demon. Let me know if you've heard that, and if you're someone who thinks that, or if you've thought that. Let's continue. Never heard of that? Okay, interesting. Anybody else? Anybody has ever heard of this idea that that it's not actually aliens, they're actually demons, and any of this alien abduction stuff is actually demonic demons, like putting in certain memories that don't exist? Anybody hear of that before? I definitely have. So yeah, let me know and what you have heard if you can.
Like, that's a dream. That's how, like, you would wake up from that dream, and I would tell you, dude, I dreamed the vice president said aliens are demons.
Here's the question, though. What were they talking about in the Bible when they're talking about aliens and demons? When they're talking about like angels, what the fuck were they talking about? And are there different kinds of beings that can, for whatever travel method they use, whether it's teleportation or the the Bob Lazar idea of gravity shifting, whatever the fuck it is they get here. Why would we assume that it'd all be cool?
Right.
Like, and if some of them are, they talk about reptilians. Like, reptilian is a common experience that these supposed UFO abductees, and I'm not even convinced there's like.
I'm gonna stop it there too. Yeah, that is okay? So then, if you haven't heard of the alien thing, because let's see here. Nicole says never. The other Nicole says never. Karen/Adrian says never thought that aliens were demons. Laura says I've never thought that or even heard of that. Okay, interesting, you guys. Interesting. Yeah, I definitely have. And then here's the other one. Have you guys ever heard of reptilians? That there's some ambiguity there depending on who you ask what a reptilian is. So some people think reptilians are a race of alien, and they're the ones that are really pulling the strings and getting humanity to kind of fight each other for various reasons. But energy is usually one of them. Then the other story about reptilians is that certain people are actually reptilians. There's even videos that come out showing several different celebrities that they'll show you, like Katy Perry. There's some of Katy Perry, I think Britney Spears. But if you were just to do a Google check, like what celebrities are actually reptilian, it'll pull up royalty, it'll pull up people in government, it'll pull up different celebrities that say that these people that they're actually like shapeshifters, that their face changes and they'll look like a reptilian. So who's heard of reptilians? Nicole says yes, but yes, with the other Nicole. And Adrian says yes. Oh, you have your own. Okay, great. And alien. Okay, and then Ilyana says I do believe in demons, but I've always seen demons as a dark energy. Okay, so what about you, Laura? Have you heard of this whole thing with reptilians, and which story? Both of them? The whole there's reptilian aliens and they're kind of negative or bad, or they're calling the shots, they're manipulating people, or the one where they're the human shapeshifter, or both and they've become conflated. Not heard of. Okay, so yes and no with the whole reptilian thing. Okay, interesting. Okay, let's continue.
Physical abduction. I have a feeling that these people are out cold and something's happening to them inside their head, and they think they've been physically abducted. I think that's a lot of them. I think they have these abduction experiences, they come back, they have these contacts, and they come back. I have a feeling a lot of them physically aren't going anywhere. But it doesn't mean that something's not happening. And if all throughout history, people have reported demonic possession and demonic influences, and why would we not assume that if we do things to us, like we engineer viruses to use as weapons on people, there's a whole research program, part of the government is dedicated to bioweapons.
Right.
You're not supposed to use them, but we just have to study them. If we do that to us, wouldn't you assume that any fucking super advanced species that sees us as territorial psychopathic primates with nuclear weapons, wouldn't you just manipulate us into all sorts of different ways, get us to do all sorts of different things that we shouldn't do, get us to commit crimes, get us angry, get us agitated, give us different algorithms?
Oh my God, you guys. Do you see why I wanted to talk about this? I mean, this is what I'm talking about when I say he gets so close to the truth. Are they demons doing this, making people do stuff? Is it aliens posing as demons posing as aliens? Are people really being abducted? Are they just getting fucked with psychically, telepathically? Like, he's so close. Do you see what I'm talking about here? I mean, whoo. I'm going to get into this. So I want to finish this whole arc here, and then I'm going to respond. But I definitely want to get your guys' thoughts on all of this, because wow. He's so close. Okay, here we go. Let's continue.
Them are going to fuck with our head
Sure.
to behave demonically.
Right.
To cause us to collapse.
Or just for fun.
Or for fun.
Wasn't there a dude who started giving Zen pouches to ants to get them addicted to nicotine? You know what I mean? The ants.
Did they get addicted?
I don't know if it was Zen pouches, but.
Have you ever taken days off of these?
Okay, so I don't know what just happened there, but Duncan's response to Joe is, well, sure. There could be control, or let me rewind it just a bit here. Because he responds with this whole thing about the freaking ants instead of them getting
supposed UFO abductees. And I'm not even convinced there's physical abduction. I have a feeling that these people are out cold and something.
Sorry.
And if all throughout history people have reported demonic possession and demonic influences, and why would we not assume that if we do things to us, like we engineer
Okay, I'm going to stop this right now. When he talks about this, when we do things to us, when we're so fucked up against each other that we would engineer bioweapons, and how absolutely crazy and just evil that is. If we can do that to us, why? And there's entities that could also make us do things. Well, here's the thing though, Joe. This is where he's so close. It's the parasites of the dark side who make the people create the things like the viruses. So he's not seeing that. He's not thinking of scientists being possessed. They don't act possessed, but they do this fucked up shit. There's people who pay for it, governments that are funding it. So, and that, is everybody possessed? Well, yeah, kind of. And yeah, definitely. For some, quite literally, have parasites, and people are the hosts of these parasites, and they justify anything and everything, including bioweapons, but anything. I talked about this in last week's series, but when we think about people, all of us, even the most sensitive empaths, we can do things to accidentally hurt somebody else's feelings. But we're not actively, even the regular person, they're actively not trying to hurt other people. Or they're not actively hurting themselves. But most people are influenced by the dark side, by the programming, by the illusions, by the glamoring, by the actual literal waves of thought forms that get injected and perpetuated through the network of humanity, all the invisible cords that we have connected to each other. You don't need to you don't need to actually have a parasite on everybody to control everybody. You need to have people in very specific places doing very specific things. And then also the randos out there doing really fucked up shit. So the rest of us are like, oh my God, some of us are horrible. The world is not a safe place. And it's like, yeah, like you don't know, like anybody can like, because we hear, oh, look at these, people that have either been abusive, they're, and doing horrible things. And then it comes out years later, or it's like one event out of nowhere. I mean, and these things have ramped up. Have they not? Because even though it's like technologically and to a certain point consciously, we are gaining a momentum and ascending, there's also such a glamoring, such a indoctrination of what is real and what is not. The fringe, the esoteric, the mystical, the spiritual, the divine, and all of this stuff is still, look at how they're talking about it. Like, it's like there's all this evidence and there's all this wacky and crazy shit. It's like, if we start, if we keep discounting what we cannot actually see, then this is going to go on forever. And it has gone on forever. And we keep coming back, some of us, incarnating again and again and again to push the needle further up. Every incarnation, with every new age that we're bringing in, technology, tools, awareness, and all this stuff, and implanting into certain places of information what is actually going on. And some of it is very cryptic. Some of it is very, a lot of it, we talk about, like he's talking about the Bible. Well, the Bible is full of complete bullshit and also very true business, but coded. So some people read it and think of it very literal. Some of it totally discount all of it. And it's very confusing because just like a lot of things in the fear-based material matrix, a lot of it, and what makes the parasitic person so effective is that they're not completely possessed. There's some truth. There's some humanity there. If they were completely taken over, if it was complete bullshit, then people would totally know it's complete bullshit. At least most people, right? So you can't take it so far over the edge that it's like super obvious. We got to keep it in that nice gooey center so it has enough truth to it, so it resonates on some level, but then you're just like, oh, wait a minute. What exactly about, it's like some of the puzzle pieces fit together, but then some of them don't at all. That keeps us off balance. That keeps the entire reality tilted for 99.99999% of humanity. That is what we're dealing with. Okay, let me check in here with the chat real quick. Okay, nothing new. All right. So continue to comment, you guys. Any thoughts that you have on what I'm talking about here. But what Joe is getting at is, why wouldn't there be entities that force us to do messed up stuff if we're already capable of doing messed up stuff ourselves? And we're so easily manipulated and controlled. But he misses the mark about the parasites, because there's real parasites. There's real energetic entities. Now, most people would call them demons. And that works. I mean, it's not the same thing that most people might think of when they think of demons. The fact of the matter is that they're a species of entity that lives in our reality, but they're invisible to us, and they're intelligent. Some of them are very intelligent. Some of them are very sophisticated. They're their own race of being. So most of the time, so like, would people think that about demons? They're their kind of like own race? Because that's literally like what we're talking about here. I never use the term demon because that has a really religious connotation that harkens back to Satan, and there is no Satan. There is no fallen angel. There's never been any fallen angels, much less an archangel. And there was never an archangel named Lucifer. That was a story that was injected into this whole thing with heaven and hell, and basically the purpose of that is to go, okay, well, if this supposed divine benevolent being, such as an archangel, that's supposed to be all loving and all obedient to the male god, we'll get into that in a second, but to God for creating humanity and pouring all of this attention into humans, and this archangel got jealous and angry about it, and then got everybody else riled, all the other angels riled up, or most of them, and then they fell to earth, and then they raped and pillaged and did all this horrible shit, and then Lucifer becomes Satan. Now, okay, none of that is true. Not a single lick of it is true. It's literally impossible for an angelic to have human emotions like that, to get jealous, to get angry, to go against God, to want to hurt humanity, when literally it's the exact opposite. Literally, it's the exact opposite. This is where the story splits, and some of it is true. Can angelics, or those with the archangel blueprint, fall to earth by incarnating, and then as an incarnate do messed up shit and even become parasitic yourself and rape and pillage and murder? Yeah. All of us that incarnate can have that happen to us, 100%. That's where the story is real. But not that we were angry. If anything, we incarnated so we could help humanity become sovereign, not be controlled by these entities, these beings. So that's the words that I use: entities and beings and parasites, not demons. Because demons, like I said, is like connected to this whole religious thing. It's connected to Satan. It's connected to hell that does not exist. And neither does heaven. Heaven does not exist. Hell does not exist. There's different realms and dimensions in creation. Depending on where you are at any given point, and some of us can be in multiple places at once. And a lot, I mean, that's kind of, to a certain degree, the way it is for everything and everyone, but I don't want to split hairs too thin here and go off on that. I can talk about any of this stuff until the end of time. So I want to be as concise as possible, because I do want to move on from at least this bit and get to the next one. But this is as far as I watched. I want to check in here and see if anybody has any questions with what I've talked about so far. And I can just get rid of that. So Alana says, it never made sense to me. Wow. Yeah. Because it doesn't make sense. It's like when there's like some of the same thing was for me, because I was just like, okay, this stuff doesn't make sense. But then there was like some of it that I'm like, some of this is true. Some of this is real. And especially because by the time I was 5 years old, I was connecting with guardian angels and getting messages for people. So it's like, I've always known there was other. I've always known there was unseen. But I was connected with the light. I was channeling for the light. So I was always aware. I felt I was the oldest person in the room at age 5. And I was fully aware of that. I was like, oh, these adults don't know shit. They don't see what's going on. And I barely understood what was going on, but I knew that I saw and understood more than what most people did. But still, I didn't understand this whole, or even think about this whole thing with the spiritual war. Let me make that clear. Or any of this stuff until I was fully activated and woke up and was meant to know this so I could share this. And at first I was like, what? No, no way, Jose, to literally almost all of it was like, I also believed when I first woke up that like, oh, if you're just positive and you think positively and you don't think about the bad stuff or the negative stuff, then negative stuff won't happen or whatever. And, just stuff about psychic warfare and spiritual warfare and any of this stuff, I was just like, yeah, if I just, set my dial to positivity and light, then nothing that's of the dark can affect me at all. Because that is the story that the dark wants you to think. The dark doesn't want us to know just how far and how deep it's integrated into everything in our reality. Everything. And again, the Spiritual War Guide gets into all of it. It's going to be published on Amazon soon. So stay tuned, people. But yeah, it's everything. They have a multitude of weapons that they use to confuse us, to pit us against each other, to make things, to give certain names to certain things, to control people. Whether you're parasitic or not, you have been indoctrinated into the bullshit reality to some degree or another. Most people have. Like I said, I was just like everybody else. Regardless of my psychic abilities, regardless of all the mystical experiences that I've had, and I've had many, I still had no clue what was really, really going on. And it was the first things I needed to learn when I woke up. And it was not easy. There was nobody to like reference this shit to. And all of this was coming through. It was like, you need to see this for what it is, because everything that you do needs to have this framework, or else it's not going to work, because they still fucking have you. They still have you. If you believe reality is what you see is what you get, and people are this and people are that, mental illness and chronic illness and governments are shit and there's war, it just happens, like all of this stuff. Media, of course, is trying to program you a certain way, make you think be this political. That's just human nature. Everything is just human nature. Things just happen. No. So if we tell ourselves we're awake and we're leading other people into their spiritual awakening, and we don't know for ourselves that reality is bullshit, that most people are fully indoctrinated into a bullshit reality because this is prevalent in everything, that those people that you can point to and go, totally messed up, totally fucked up, total narcissist, total sociopath, total psychopath, that are in and have been in power, in various levels of power, from household power to city power to city, state, full country power, it doesn't matter. It's all in there, in everything. People are taken over. People are parasitic, just enough to do the crazy wackadoodle bullshit, insane things that they do against themselves and each other and other people. And it's been going on for such a long time. We're talking pre-ancient Egypt. This has been going on. These parasites landed here. They're not natural. if we want to talk about, I mean, in one sense, they are aliens, because from way back, they were used to control people to be basically these like worker bees. They took over the consciousness of people to do what they wanted them to do. And the only thing that they live off of is negative energy. We live off of positive, light, love energy, high life force, high vibe. The higher the vibe, the better you are. Consciously, physically, energetically, spiritually, emotionally, abundantly, every single way. You are better the higher the vibe, the more life force. Every single way you are better. What happens with negative energy? Tired, heavy, depressed, anxious, in fear. Oh, interesting. Interesting. And so we have all this shit in the world, all these different mechanisms to do that to us, if not each other. And that's what they live off of. They don't live off of love energy and light energy and positivity. They want their tasty energy is, and what they run on is negative energy. So they cultivate it within their hosts. They cultivate it within the people that the hosts are connected to. They control through energy cords, through psychic connections. They can rewrite history in the minds of people. You've seen them. You've seen them go, no, this is what happened. I don't remember. Something controlled me. And people go, oh my God, totally crazy or totally bullshit. Well, you know, I'm not saying maybe sometimes when people say they don't remember a thing that they're not full of shit, but they're probably also being controlled to do that too. But the point here is that when you have full control of a complete species of people, millennia after millennia after millennia, I mean, it's going to be in everything. And it's going to be on a level that slowly and like everybody just accepts the wackadoodle reality. You know, oh, look at this crazy shit that's going on. Does anybody ever go, that person's possessed? No, but you know what they're starting to say is, this feels spiritual. This feels extra like weird and evil, and like there is a spiritual war. You know how many people like in the mainstream now, to a certain degree, like here we have Joe Rogan, the biggest podcast in the world. Tucker Carlson went on the Joe Rogan Experience in October of 2024. And in the first 5 minutes of that conversation, he was talking about angels and demons. And that kind of cracked. You could see the look on Joe's face. I can go to that video if anybody wants me to do that within the first just couple of minutes of that show. And I was like, what is happening right now? I cannot believe what he is saying right now. But he starts talking about it immediately. And it was like, holy shit. And since then, things have been different because he didn't let it go. And if you follow Tucker Carlson, or at least from afar, you can see that he's like a dog with a bone with this shit. He's like, I've got my, he's very religious. So unfortunately, he's indoctrinated in that. But he's like, I feel some serious, like there's shit going on. And he's had like priests on talking about possession and all of this stuff as well. So let me check in here with the chat. Do you believe that we coexist with all different entities? Well, I mean, we definitely coexist with many different types of entities. It's just that humanity is, for the most part, oblivious to all the multitude of different types of beings and entities that are around because of our perception. So yeah, there's a long list. Nicole says that is the scariest part. Not sure exactly what you're referring to. Nikki says, what exactly makes up the dark side? Like what type of beings? Oh, and then Alana says, I believe in Jesus or Elo, though I just also know that there's so much missing when it comes to him. Oh yeah, there is. Did you called him Elo? So did you read that channeling that I did that's on my Medium? And yeah, there is a lot that comes to him. There's a lot of, again, bullshit that comes with him. Hopefully you did read that. I did a really intense, like I was blown away because he had told me all of this stuff about himself way before he had me take that dictation, that channeling, and give all that information about what his real name is and really discuss truth from fiction when it comes to him and who he was. But oh yeah, he's been waiting. Let me just put it that way. So yeah, Nicole Abney, if you want to elaborate on what the scariest part is specifically that you're talking about, since I didn't see that. And then Nicole Smith, what exactly makes up the dark side? Like what type of beings? Okay, so like I established, no such thing as a Satan. There isn't an actual like head. They don't work like that. They're like they really remind me kind of more of like insects. Like that's real, like they're parasites. Like when I say the word parasites, that's really, really what we're talking about. But they're sophisticated parasites, and we cannot perceive them. We can feel them. We're influenced by them, obviously, and we can feel them. They control us psychically, and so through that they control our behavior and they get us to do things, so we can definitely feel them and stuff. But they are parasites. They're literally like they're the leeches parasite. Those are the ones that connect to your chakras, and they cause a disruption in your energetic flow, and can cause all sorts of, they just really they cause pain, they cause disruption in whatever chakras that they are, which causes disruption everywhere. And but they don't necessarily rewrite reality for you, other than messing with your body and that rewriting reality from what it would be if you didn't have the parasites. But it's different than the puppet master parasites, which are what we call the ones that are narcissists, or the ones that are sociopaths, or psychopaths, anything like that. They have a puppet master parasite, and they're just influenced to do various different things, all of which are no bueno, but all of which are what they were originally supposed to be, or are at the end of the day. How they're wired is as empaths. So that's the other thing is that they have, because divine incarnate empaths, we have a different energetic structure. We can affect and receive differently than regular people. So they prefer us. And we also kind of cluster together. So this is why narcissists and psychopaths and sociopaths are drawn to empaths, because they're similar in energy at the end of the day, and they get influenced it's just an easier way to manipulate the person, because they're already hot wired to be more receptive energetically and to affect their field more. So it makes sense that they would target empaths. So they literally pit us against each other in like the most messed up ways. So we have those ones. And then there's another kind. I've mentioned these before. I have not, they are hard to describe. they essentially, they're super sophisticated, and they can work through a different type of veil thinning or portals, and like when there's certain energetic things going on, when the veil gets extra thin, and they can actually like, and I'm not going to pretend to understand exactly how this works. I just know that I have seen it happen. I know, and I've worked with just one person who had this going on. And these would be the people that you would say are more like, I personally think that most likely most of the people that are known to be schizophrenic, like that type of mental illness, is dealt with this specific parasite, whether they move them through time or not. But that is essentially what they do. They'll move them through time, so they don't know not only where they are, but when they are. These are people who will, and they're super, super psychic. So what medicine, mental health, and whatever has attributed as a serious mental illness that can get very violent because they're experiencing a reality that everybody else isn't. It's that they can perceive what everybody else cannot. And they're less, like I said, there's definitely schizophrenics out there taking their medication to help that. It just makes it so it's still there. It's just not, it kind of tones things down as far as the person being aware of what they're experiencing. So you see what I'm saying? It's like taking the saturation down. So there's some people, and it's like, and a lot of these people that you look back, or if you know, I mean, I don't know all the people that have been diagnosed as schizophrenic, but I do know that there's been quite a lot that have been known to also be geniuses or brilliant or super gifted in various ways. So there's another clue there. This is the literal taking over of people that would be very highly effective in receiving from the divine and creating and connecting and stuff like this. So they get taken over to another degree. Because these entities, like I said, while they are like in certain forms, like kind of like insects, like they're parasites, they're also not stupid at all. Do they sometimes overcorrect and go way too far with stuff and show their hand and make it that much easier for the light to come in, and then we can I guess the best way to put it is capitalize on their it's really ironic. The ones that instill fear get fearful that they're going to be seen and found out. So then they, like I said, they overcorrect. So yeah, the light definitely takes advantage of that. Like I said, it's war. So, and they know when if we're an empath, we were here to connect and remember. That's just bam. That's part of our blueprint, just how and what's all connected and all the details. And that's another thing. But we have very similar blueprints. This is why, in case you didn't know, or if you did, empaths tend to have very similar stories. And that's just a theme. Like, oh, difficult childhood. Oh, like issues, like, oh, being like challenges, attacks, addiction, trauma, abuse, like narcissist, this, that. And it's like, oh, really? So many of us in the same way, and we have so much in common. Like, that's not a coincidence. That's just because of what we are. We're under attack. Like, all of humanity is under attack, and all of humanity to some degree is being used. Their energy is being used and their negative energy is being used and cultivated. But it's just degrees of that. And again, if the dark were to have it like completely, just complete pandemonium and chaos and destruction, then eventually everybody, they would be destroyed because we would be destroyed. And so they're smart enough to not do that. But they'll set off big land or religious or land and religious wars against each other and all sorts of so many different types. Again, the spiritual war guide gets into all of it, so I don't want to go there too much, but yeah, and then those are basically the beings. They're all some type of parasite, but they also, as you know, Nicole, they also create. They're able to have and create these implants. They're basically like dark side tech, and they're different than parasites because some people, the puppet master parasite was not getting in there, could not possess the person. The person was not getting that, like opening that door and accepting that energy on some level consciously, because that is part of the equation. And same thing for the leeches. But the implant, that's different. It's an etheric device that can be hooked to the person to create disruption. So there's also that. But as far as like who they are, they're basically a very, very, very ancient race of aliens, that they're not like the Greys or any of these names of different galactics or aliens, depending on who you're asking. They're a race that nobody knows of, that people do not even know that they exist because they haven't been aliens for forever. You know what I mean? At a certain time, like, yeah. Where are they from? They're from the way that what I know about them is that they came here a very, very long time ago, literally looking to as part of a system of control and to feed and control off of humanity. And that's exactly what they did, and they've been here ever since. So hopefully that answers your questions about who they are. And then, do you have any tips? Let me go back up here. Adrian says, I believe that everyone that looks human is not of human. Yeah, there are some. Yeah, that's true too. There are some beings like shapeshifter type beings, type people. There's also succubi. I've known them, so they look human. They don't act human though, but they look human. But they want a very specific energy, and that's sexual energy. And there is the reverse. There is the male version, but there are not as many of them as there are the female kind. And then there's also there's the fae, and they can look human, but they're their own race as well. So like Gaia is multidimensional. So that's something to just know right off the top. Gaia is multidimensional. So what we see is not what we get. When you see your cat tripping out over shit, trust me, they're looking at something. Okay, so Elena says, yes, that's how I found you. Oh, very cool. Very cool. Okay. Do you have any tips on how to cleanse our energy from parasites? Oh, that's a great question. They have to be extracted. So you need somebody to help you remove them typically. That's something that I do. I can help you remove implants and remove parasites, but like the puppet master parasites, those that are like the mental, like the really, like the ones that I've said, narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths, schizophrenics, anybody like that that's just like way out there with what they've got going on, they have a parasite, and those parasites are so sophisticated that they will not allow the person to know that they are parasitic, and the person themselves need to be very much conscious that there is a parasite and that they want it to be removed, or else it cannot be removed. And if you don't know or can't believe that it's there, then it can't be removed. It's a very, very efficient and lockdown system. Any of this bullshit about like, listen to this YouTube song or do this meditation or whatever. Like, I see some crazy shit online, like, oh, remove all entities or all this or all that. Like, that is all bullshit. You can't just listen to a song or watch a video or do some ritual and be like, oh, okay, all better, all gone. Like, they're attached and they don't want to come off. And it's not good for you to try to remove them yourself. And if anybody says otherwise, they're full of shit. They're 100% full of shit. If they say they can remove parasites, or they can work with your cords or do cord cutting or whatever for you, that's all bullshit. They cannot. Most likely they're just extracting, they're connecting and they're extracting more life force. They're controlled by the dark side. If you don't think that the dark side and parasites have infiltrated the spiritual community, that everybody who says that they're a psychic, medium, a healer, channeler, blah 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 is legit, please know that the dark side has infiltrated the spiritual community and people that are awakening to such a degree. And unfortunately, those are the people that are more, get more attention because they're being filtered to the bullshit, not the stuff that's real. This is why I have so much trouble just piercing the bubble, because this is not information that the dark side wants out. And to circumvent that, implants or moles are in the spiritual community, acting like they can do shit they can't do and literally making it worse. And Nicole Abney says, what I was referring to is parasites in power and authority over others. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's how they've been doing it ever since. Like, and that's why it's in all facets of our reality. And then Karen says, our fur babies don't have a filter like most of us do, therefore they can see and hear what we can't. Well, their ability to perceive different is just different from us. Our energy, other people's energy, what we can't in the unseen. Like I've said so many times, I can do a lot of third eye seeing with my eyes open now. I just kind of shift. It's kind of like picture in picture. But I always would say I see more with my eyes closed, because this reality is so rich. It's so detailed. So much is going on all the time. Unless your eyes are closed, there's just so much energy, so much going on that it messes with our perception. So I'll get reminded when I'm looking for something, I'm trying to find something. I try to keep shit in the same spot so I don't spend time looking for things because it drives me crazy. But if I forget where I put something or wherever, I'm either told where it is immediately, or I'm told to close my eyes so I can get the information, because I'm looking around like a basic human trying to find something with my eyeballs and my feet and my hands, when we can see more with our eyes closed, which is just so ironic. So ironic. So Ileana says, this is so interesting. It's making so much sense in my mind. I'm so glad, sweetheart. That's the thing, is that now the puzzle pieces to come together. Now the math starts working out. When you can see it from this point of view, then it's like, oh, that makes so much more sense now than just the answers that we've always been given. And when you start now interfacing with reality through that lens and seeing people through this lens, and why people do what they do, and you have the answer because they're parasitic, because they're programmed, because they're glamored to see things in a certain way, then you can go, oh, okay, that's why, fill in the blank. And then you can also maneuver completely differently in your life because of that reason. Because once you see reality for what it is, truly, and like I said, in the beginning of my spiritual awakening, that was the most important thing. Like, I started on level 10 or whatever you want to call it, from the very beginning, because it was like, you need to understand this. This is what you are, who you are, why you're here, and what's going on. You need to get it. So I had to actually experience parasites on a really intense level various times, like mind-blowing shit, and watch how they saw reality and what they would do. And I have never been so verbally or physically attacked, or my homes under pressure of collapse or being blown out or having to flee, literally, until I woke up spiritually, and all of this started coming through. It's real deal shit. Never in my life. I went 40 plus years. No, like, okay, well, maybe a couple, but I didn't know why I was being, this one woman at a party, like, she just assaulted me. Like, nothing even happened. And this woman was just attacking me. Yeah. And I wasn't even like awake at that point. I was getting close. I was getting closer and closer. And I was just like really questioning reality. Like, that's when you know you're going to wake up, when you're like, what the fuck, actually? With my life, with reality in general, like, actually, what the fuck? Because, that's what I was doing more and more and more. Like, I was just like, and why is it so much more with me too? Because most people just kind of, their lives are not so off, just wild with just, I didn't call them attacks. I was just like, just whatever. I don't even remember how, just, I really don't remember how I referred to my own life. Like, but it was just like, why? Now I know. So it's like hard for me to kind of go back to that frame of mind. But yeah, like, it was always difficult. It was always, my life was always challenging, always difficult. And as a psychic physical empath, feeling everything and everyone and being in pain chronically all the freaking time was like, but at the same time, I was like, well, nobody I know goes through what I go through, but I know that, people don't, like, not everybody leads a perfect life. Some people have it harder than others. Some people have more physical stuff, or some mental stuff, or some emotional stuff. Like, I just saw, like, people have shit. This is my lot in life. This is my shit. It's really severe. But then again, some people have it worse. So count my blessings and try to survive and hope I die soon. And maybe I won't kill myself. Maybe I will. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But that's actually when I was really, 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 really into thinking about killing myself, and spent all my time thinking about killing myself, and just these visions and just playing it out and how I would do it and what methods I would use. And that's when I really started to wake up. Like, they came for me. They were like, we got to do like one last push here to try to save her, because she just might. She's so on the edge. She's so, like, I was so miserable. I was so depressed. I was so like, what's the point here? Like, this just, like, I know I'm a good person, but I mean, like, I'm being punished. And like, it's like, I feel like I'm being punished. Like, what did I do in my life to deserve this insanity, this crazy shit that I live with all the time? And then I woke up and then shit really got crazy. Oh my God. It was like, oh, you want to know? Okay, we'll come for you. We'll see if we can rescue you from yourself and from the dark side, trying to get you to kill yourself like they do to so many of us. And then you'll see why. It's just going to take a minute. Strap on for the next however. Swear to God. Okay, so let's go to oh, that's the same thing. Oh, okay, this was telling me. All right, let's go to the next thing. Oh, I didn't even like read these. Okay, these other things that they I'm looking at the notes from Gemini about this interview. It's kind of giving me all this same type of time frame, the timestamps for these things, because there's this demonic alien overlap, the president's comments, so all of that is the same, 57 to 59. Technological manipulation. Oh, that's about AI. That was earlier in the show. 2:39. Okay, so the next one is all the way a couple hours later, I'm pretty sure. Okay, and then yeah, there's some resets, so we'll see what that is. So we're gonna skip here. Let me know if I answered your questions. If you have any more questions about what I talked about so far. I need to put my glasses on. 239 224. Okay, so let's go to 239. Okay, 239. Okay, this should start in just a couple minutes. Let me check them with the chat, see if there's anything else. Okay, nothing else yet. Okay, so let's start here. This is supposed to be about, oh my gosh, can't click the right thing here. Okay, interdimensional entities again.
You know, if you're seeing things in like 3-dimensional space, then your view is limited. But if somebody could see things from higher dimensions, they
okay. This is going to get good. I'm going to go back just a little ways and see. Let's see what this is here.
Previously released footage. None show alien creatures. Bro.
Okay.
One video, Syrian UAP incident acceleration, was released by Jeremy Corbell.
Have you seen that one?
Fuck yeah, it's incredible.
This is a new one?
I'm going to go back a little bit more. Okay. I wish Gemini would have been more
Fuck, it was merging with it, and that thing went down into the water again. They said it was huge, like there was ripples, like you said this was some enormous object that was under the water. And more than one of these fighter pilots have had similar stories about enormous objects under the water.
Did you see they did release a list of footage that they've been shown that they want released? Have you seen that?
No.
Oh dude, I'm sorry, Jamie. Can you? It's like a list of. I don't know. I think it's one of these senators who saw this shit in a skiff or whatever, saying we want these released, but the names of what each of these are is on the list, and one of them is one of these massive underwater things. They have it.
Is it this?
I was told
46 specific high quality secret videos.
That's it. Can you pull it up, because it says the names of them, which is ridiculous.
Oh my god! I heard there's one that moves underwater at 500 knots, and it's big as a football field.
It's insane.
Okay, this is what he says. Those with knowledge of a long list of videos, which include titles like several UAP in the vicinity of a Columbus, Ohio airport and UFOs in formation over Persian Gulf, said the clips are shocking. You're going to see some weird fucking shit. A source who has viewed the videos told the Post. Who's the source?
There you go. The wildest clip includes radar footage from thermal sensors, satellite images, and underwater photos of swarms of unidentified submerged objects.
UFOs going in and out of the water near a highly classified submarine, according to the source. Some of the clips are clear, full color, setting them apart from previously released footage. None show alien creatures. Bro.
One video, Syrian UAP incident acceleration, was released by Jeremy Corbell.
Have you seen that one?
Fuck yeah, it's incredible.
This is a new one?
Have you seen this one?
I don't know.
February 3rd.
I bet you
pull it up. I've been
have.
avoiding them because I'm getting cock teased. I don't like it.
This is not a cock tease. This is.
I want to see it.
Supposed to hand over the clips by April 14th. That's next week.
What?
Oh, but is that's next week. They're going to show the clips. Oh my God.
What?
They're actually going to do it?
That was yesterday.
Okay.
Well, they're expected to.
Can you show me what that video is that Jeremy Corbell
It's
released?
so fucking cool.
That's nuts, dude.
This is yeah.
Here it is. Okay, go full screen.
I believe this was filmed from a Reaper drone. I'm sorry, Jeremy, if I'm fucking this up.
That's a cool bird. That bird's going really fast.
No, that's definitely not a bird.
How fast is it going?
I don't know. I asked him that, and I don't. It's unknown. I don't know. This is where it gets really cool.
It gets cooler than this?
Yeah.
Oh, they zoom in on it?
Yeah.
Whoa. Well, they're having a hard time zooming in on it.
Well, because
it's evading them.
Yeah, it just zipped away. So this is like.
So it seems like they have some sort of a tracking system.
Yeah, they're trying to lock onto it, and it's doing that thing that they do, where it seems like it's kind of playing with it.
Well, it seems to be aware that they're locking onto it.
Yeah, and then they lock onto it, and then it just does this little blip away. It's just like, see you later. So right around here, you'll see it go bye-bye. Oh yeah, look at that. Then you can see this like weird jellyfish shape to it. It's got two parts. It's got that weird glob at the top and something at the bottom.
Huh.
And then...
Are we sure that's not just a distortion of space-time around it?
He
that
described
makes
this to me on my podcast. Did you see that thing zip away?
Yeah, it just took off.
He described it to me on my podcast. We talked about all this shit. It's like...
Look at that. It just took off.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye.
Wow, dude. What do you think that is?
No idea.
If you had a guess.
So I mean, I'm always like maybe some kind of plasma thing,
right? Like maybe we're thinking of a life force being. It comes in a metal ship and it's a little alien guy, but maybe intelligence is made out of plasma.
Yeah, or maybe it's like Terrence McKenna would always talk about like if you're seeing things in like 3-dimensional space, then your view is limited. But if somebody could see things from higher dimensions, they would seem like they were magic. Like they would seem like they could disappear and reappear other places. So maybe that's like just the tip of some kind of interdimensional thing poking into reality, then pulling out of reality, or who knows? Right. It easily could be functioning on levels of reality that we haven't even quantified yet.
Imagine if there really is some sort of ghost murmur device that can find your heart rate from 40 miles away. What can that thing do? It just gets a scan of the general psyche of the earth and then disappears.
Yeah.
So I want to see how crazy they are right now. Okay, pretty crazy. Bye.
Right. A weather report of like the emotional states of the planet.
The vibe of the planet.
They're
because the
freaking
vibe
out.
of the planet is completely connected to the consciousness on the planet.
The way we can detect oxygen, they can detect anger.
Yes.
They're just
deception, chaos.
Yeah. It's a chaos planet.
We are a chaos planet, 100%, dude.
Yeah, it is.
100%. Look at our favorite sports. Dudes running at each other, colliding into each other, trying to get a ball across a line. That's our number one sport.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Fucking love it.
Fuck yeah.
Fucking love it.
Yeah.
Fighting.
Yeah, fighting. Sure.
Yeah, but it's, you know.
I know. I'm like, you're one to talk, Mr. UFC. Talking about football. What about literally guys like beating each other up? Okay. Alrighty then.
Boxing, MMA. We like the chaos more than we like anything else.
Well, we did I think if I was one of them, one thing I would really have a hard time with is like, don't they all realize they're on the same planet?
Right.
They know that. Like they've been observing their own planet. Like they know they're all on the same planet. But they act like they're on a bunch of different planets fighting each other.
Because they're stuck on the ground.
Right.
All the astronauts say when they get up top, they're like, wait, what are we doing?
Yeah.
This is all one thing. We're so vulnerable. We're alone. So far away from everybody else, if there is anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
They all have that feeling. I forget what it's called, but there's like a term for it.
The overview effect.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, you would imagine that would be super beneficial.
You're also, while still in the atmosphere, as an astronaut that's leaving, I mean, the atmosphere to that degree, you're now further away. You're the bullshit matrix is so much further too. It's not just about the perception of looking down on it and being having that, being ascended to that, physically to that spot to look down as an astronaut and go, wow, look at where it's like, we already know that. You don't need to be up there to know that. But when you're up there, you are gonna not feel the parasites and all their bullshit in the field that's constantly running in the field. You have to think about it like this. Like the dark side has its own Wi-Fi signal going out to everybody all the time, injecting the fear-based, material-based matrix that is perpetuating. That's what's stress, anxiety, worry, all of this, it's all fear. It's the fear-based matrix. And when you're away from the fear-based matrix, it's going to have an effect on you. That even if none of us need to be up there to be like, hey, we're all one race, aren't we? I don't see lines I don't see barriers in the ground saying what's what. And it's all looks like one thing to me. Shouldn't we act like it's all one thing? Yeah, we should. And why don't we? Like, yeah.
For everybody. Another thing, I was thinking this. Part of the sickness of our psyche is that we haven't had access to things that help the sickness of our psyche. So what if Nixon in 1970 didn't do that? What if he didn't pass that sweeping Psychedelics Act? Yeah. What if psychedelics became ubiquitously used all throughout the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s? Right. What does government look like when everybody can do mushrooms?
Well, why was it taken away? Why was cannabis so demonized? Pun intended, I guess. Why? Because these are literal plant medicines from Gaia. Like, here, people, wake the fuck up. Like, there's Gaia creating actual plants and fungus that have awakening, veil piercing properties and other things. Like even a toad. No, that's supposed to be really intense. But how does one go, okay, if we mix this plant with this root and these flowers and that bark, we get this thing called ayahuasca. I mean, it's like it's like a lot that's light. You know, so we have the dark shit and then we have the light shit and then we have the dark shit and then we have the light shit to try to, you know, going back and forth with this stuff to help us understand, to see, to wake up, to, you know, lock in, to understand ourselves in reality first. That's really important. This is why it's so important to connect with our souls, to connect with our guides and guardians, to intentionally move towards the divine and the light. And it's not about religion. In fact, religion, like we talked about earlier, religion is a mechanism, is a weapon of, because it's not based in full on truth and reality. None of them are. All of them have little bits and pieces of complete bullshit, semi bullshit, mostly true, not at all. You know, it's like it's all pulled together. And like I said, there's pieces in there, because the light also have had to be very strategic in what we're leaving for ourselves in the future, because, you know, I mean, how many those of the divine, of faith, of being, whether they were, they really weren't connected and receiving divine information, that were, if not banned or exiled, just totally murdered in front of everybody. Like, don't you go thinking or saying or opening up doors to shit. Only religion can do that. Only certain people can do that, and only in a certain way. And all, you know, this shit. It's like, you know, it is what it is for a reason. For a reason. And we have to not, you know, if we're attributing our idea of reality and spirituality as from the framework of any religion, then we're already, you started off the journey off course. And that's the problem, is that all of this stuff gets conflated and mixed up together.
What does government look like when everybody can do acid? What does it look like if the entire world adopts this, figures out what you can do, who can do it, what you can't do, just like we do with alcohol, just like we do with mostly, you know, whatever substance that people imbibe in. What does the world look like? And maybe like that's part of where we fucked up. We let people get control over other people to the point where they could limit experiences. Yeah. Especially consciousness expanding experiences, where at the same time they've got stuff like Operation Artichoke and these new CIA papers that got released that show they were like literally actively trying to figure out ways to make people more stupid and docile. Right. They were going to do it in vaccines. They were going to do it. They're only going to do it to the enemy, of course, but spray things, aerosol. Yeah. I mean, they've experimented with a bunch of different things to make people dumber. Right. Where at the same time, they kept the
fluoride in the water. I mean, there's so many. I mean, it's in the food, it's in the drugs, it's in the water. But yeah, Joe, why?
Thing from people that makes them rebel completely against the establishment. Right. Like, that was the big threat of what those psychedelics were doing in the 60s. If you go from the 1950s and you look at what life was like, at least in movies and pop culture, music is the best example. Yeah. And then you go to Jimi Hendrix. Like, what happened? Yeah. What happened? What fucking happened? Well, I'll tell you what happened. Drugs. Yeah. A lot of really good drugs. Right. Like, you know, it's not all bad. This idea that they're all bad, that's nuts. It's like food's all bad because you got fat. Right. No. Right. You just used it wrong. You took the wrong food and you used it wrong. And we got denied the ability to figure out what's right and wrong in the 1970s.
We still accept it. Yep. That's the crazy thing. The way you're describing it is like, we accept that other humans can tell us what experiences we're allowed to have because some of them are deemed unsafe for ourselves.
And even worse, those people telling you that have no experience in it.
They don't even usually are confused about what it is.
You know, a friend was talking to me the other day about war, a guy who served, and he said, I don't think you should be able to make any decisions if you've been there. I don't think anybody that's never been to war should be able to make decisions on whether or not we go to war, because until you've seen what it actually is, you have no fucking idea. Right. And I think that's the same thing with psychedelic experiences. That's not to say they're the same. Obviously, war is anybody who's willing to risk their fucking life whether it's a good cause or a bad cause. They're doing it for their government. They're doing it for their country. They think
Yeah.
they're doing it for us. That's a exceptional person.
Yeah.
And to
Yeah, but you're doing it against your fellow humans. Being tricked. Being completely tricked and fooled and controlled and manipulated to be against each other, to even think to do that in the first place. I mean, and the more that it happens, the more that it happens. It just perpetuates more and more and more and more strife and anger, because, you know, then it's like, then we're popping off with vengeance and revenge and all of these things that, why did I say it like that? Revenge. And all of these emotions and energy that justify, again, to justify. It's always like fear, control, anger, justification. Money is definitely in there too. Religion, land, of course, now health and food. But when we talk about the basics, it's like, it's fear, control, manipulation. It's all in that realm of energy. And it just perpetuates more of it one way or the other. And I'm being guided to, there's what is the exact quote that Ella has been known to say in the Bible? Like, do not, like, what is it? Any of these, I was never a Bible person. I didn't grow up with religion, so this made it easier for me not to be indoctrinated. But it's something to the effect of, like something like, do not go against him. He knows not what he does, or something to that effect. Like, my attackers know not what they do, so don't blame them. That's essentially what it is. It's not the person. It's the thing controlling the person. But we see it as the person controlling other people. That's what they're talking about, control. It's like, how can we just give our autonomy, our sovereignty away to some entity, some government, some politician to make rules for what I can do, what plant medicine I can smell or eat or smoke or whatever else. And it's not the person, it's the system. It's the system of control. Because again, if we have a bunch of people popping off and waking up and seeing reality, that's a problem for the dark side. It's a problem for these parasites. They do not want us to know. Their biggest weapon is invisibility, is that we cannot see them. We do not perceive them. We do not understand possession to be what it is. Everybody has a certain idea of possession, but the idea is very flawed, very, very flawed on purpose. It's like, all right, you can believe in demons, you can believe in possession, you can believe in all this, whatever, as long as it's, you can be in the neighborhood. You see how much these guys are in the neighborhood? You see how close they are? You see, and this is often, like I was saying earlier, Tucker Carlson back in October of 2024 when he talked to Joe Rogan. Let me know if any of you guys want to see that. I will pull it up. I know we've gone like extra long, shocker. But I will pull that up. It's in the first 5 minutes. They stopped. I think it's like a total, maybe a 7-8 minute thing in the beginning. But now there's many people just in regular spaces talking about this stuff more and more. And they're in the neighborhood, but they're not seeing it for what it is, because their ideas of what possession isn't what reality is. Not for any of us. Not for any of us. And that works into the favor of the parasites completely. When they can infiltrate your mind, whether you're awake or asleep, when they can rewrite history, when they can delete memories and brainwash you, when they can shift your perception so completely, whether you're the one that's parasitic or not, just by various methods of control and manipulation and programs, so many programs that we are indoctrinated into, from education to medicine, government, you name it. It's indoctrination. It's complete brainwashing of our sovereignty and our autonomy that we teach each other from society to society, generation to generation, because it's all perpetuating the same thing. And then we pepper in those of us who were incarnated to escape that programming. So yeah. Let's continue here. I'm gonna read some of this and
of people is exceptional. And ironically, the one thing that helps these people when they get back is illegal.
Right.
They all have to go to Mexico and take Ibogaine in Mexico.
It's insane.
And thank God for guys like Rick Perry and Brian Hubbard. These guys were on my podcast the other day. And, you know, this Dan Patrick guy that wants to ban pot, that guy.
Okay. So you guys have said quite a lot here. I didn't see. So let's go back here just a little bit. So, oh, wow. Okay. Sorry. I missed all this stuff, you guys. Do you also sense that we have beings in the water? Yes. That is definitely a real thing. We do have others in the water that come and go. It's the perfect place. It's so big, and none of them are none of the galactics that work with Gaia, work with the High Council of Light, are malevolent. That just is not, like, we've already dealt with other coming here and taking over. There is a massive amount of protection around Gaia, and if anything, it's so much light that any galactic that is connected, anyone that is an incarnate, like what we know that they're called starseeds, and having more of a, you know, connection to different systems, but they're human. But then there are also others, and all they do is help stabilize. They are acting as basically galactic emissaries. They're connecting consciously with those who have incarnated here to bring in certain spiritual technologies. And so they're helping with all of that. They're helping to clean and clear the atmosphere, as do other beings. Help clean and clear the atmosphere of the things that the dark side have and continue to do, pollution, things like this. So yeah, but they're all good. They're all on the light side of the light. There's no nothing to fear when it comes to galactics or AKA aliens, and anything to the contrary, is just part of the dark side matrix bullshit. Okay. Adrian says there's mer people, mermaids, and mermen. Well, that is true, but like the Fae, they're not just in the ocean in the regular way that everything else is in the ocean. It's kind of like the Fae and us here on land. We have kind of the same separation of dimension in the water as well, but they do exist. Yes, the MERS. Okay. Karen says, I agree with you. They do exist. I believe they exist. What about sirens? Yeah, sirens are not. Sirens are basically the same thing as the MERS, but they're confused as being two different things, because they can, just like the Fae can go interdimensionally, they can move through dimensions, so can the MER, and they have, but there's also been a lot of confusion around them as well. But yeah, I feel like so many sea animals are so extraordinary, like beyond smart. Yeah, oh, totally, they are, absolutely. But you have to remember, Gaia is a multi-being. So everything in nature is Gaia. So when we think of like animals or spirit animals, they're of nature and they're pieces of Gaia, regardless of what else they have connected to them as far as extra stuff. Everything is everything that is an animal or a creature or anything like, you know, when is are like in various ways Gaia expressing through her creation. So yes, when it comes to intelligence and consciousness, like it's so crazy to me to think that there's people who don't think that animals are conscious or self-aware or have feelings or emotions or somebody told me a few years ago, and like I said something about my birds getting bored, and they're like, getting bored? They don't get bored. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, they do. What are you talking about? Anybody can get bored, you know, like, yeah, like, I mean, it's just wild to me. But yeah, some people just don't perceive animals like that. So Karen says, yeah, animals are super smart because I think you meant don't overthink shit like we do. We are always trying to make sense and find logic in everything. Yeah. Animals are strictly guided by Mother, Father, God. Well, Gaia and God and Mother, Father, God. Yeah. So, it's strategic separation religion. Look at what it's doing now. Yeah, exactly. I mean, when it comes to creating problems for ourselves, there's a few really big ones that are at the top of the list: religion, space or land, territory, and money. And all of those things are interconnected, of course. I find it so fascinating. Mother, Father, God is so intentional. I was watching this bee secrets documentary and it's so mind blowing. Oh, I know. Bees are so great. Yeah, Adrian and I watched that bee document. Oh, Adrian and I watched that bee documentary. I've watched a lot of stuff on bees. I'm not sure if I watched that one though. I've only tried shrooms and weed, and I only feel more connected to myself. It's so it's not a surprise that it's so looked down upon. Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. It does connect you to yourself. It thins out the bullshit. It irons out the wrinkles. It makes you more receptive. That's the thing with weed, is that it thins the veil. It has that psychedelic component, and it thins the veil. So when the veil is extra thin, which can be also a problem, this is why people have bad trips and feel paranoid, because now the veil is thin and now they get disoriented, and then they start getting hit with a lower level vibes and energy and thought forms and things like this, because they're not used to having a thin veil. They're not used to having their psychic awareness turned up to just boom like that. And they get paranoid. They freak out. This is why, if you've never done weed before, you're supposed to have like a puff and then wait 15 minutes. But people like smoke a whole joint or rip a bowl or do some wax or eat a whole fucking brownie and be like, it wasn't good. It's like, well, no shit. It wasn't good. You did too much freaking medicine. It's medicine. It's not a drug. It's medicine. If you do too much medicine, it's going to mess you up. So same thing with mushrooms, same thing with weed. A lot of these things, you know, it's just like blowing the roof off of your house. It's like, oh my God, you know, it's like, maybe just open a window at first. Let the veil thin a little bit, get used to that, receive and feel. And this is why we feel our bodies differently. We feel consciously different, and that will remain. And this is why, so many of us use it on a regular basis because it helps thin the veil. It helps tone down the bullshit of the material matrix so we can connect to ourselves, connect to Gaia. This is why people do cannabis and mushrooms and other psychedelics, and then go into meditation or do rituals and things like this, because now they can disconnect. You don't need it. It's not necessary to have it, but it does help. And they are natural. We have to think the difference between actual synthetic drugs and from Gaia medicine. Those are two very, very different things that a lot of people get very ambiguous about, and very, gets conflated as to what is what, for sure. Okay, Karen says, I know that's right, Infinity. I would like to. Oh, you would like to see the clip. Okay, you want to see the Tucker's clip? Alrighty, we'll do that. So everything such as unicorns, leprechauns, Bigfoot, etc., exists and are interdimensional. Yes, unicorns are a very high dimensional being, like above the 9th dimension. They grace us with their love and beauty and divinity and presence, and they're very potent energetically. They help us to connect to the divine. They help us move into the truth and feel peace and harmony. So they help us disconnect from the material matrix. Definitely. Leprechauns and Bigfoot, those are both of the Fae. So gnomes, fairies, leprechauns, Bigfoot, they are Fae. They're just different elves. They're different types of Fae. And they sometimes come into our dimension in very specific places. I actually live in the Bigfoot capital. One of them, I think there's one like in Minnesota or someplace, or Montana. I think it's Minnesota. But another one is here where I live, because there's been, we had like half of the stuff in my town is called Bigfoot, and then Bigfoot restaurant, Bigfoot lodge, Bigfoot cannabis shop, Bigfoot, everything is Bigfoot. There's a huge statue and carving of Bigfoot when you come into this town. I have not seen a Bigfoot, and it's not called Bigfoot, but that's what people see them as. But I have seen, with my third eye, gnomes. There's gnomes. This is a very enchanted space here. So yeah, they all exist. They are interdimensionally sharing Gaia with us. So it's a different reality for them. And it's just like it literally crossing from room to room is kind of how dimensions work. But you can have various room in one building. And that's what Gaia is. She's like one big building with various dimensions. Some of them interact with each other. Some of them don't. Some of them are very aware and work with the other ones. Almost all of these different beings have a place on the High Council, or emissaries on the High Council that work very consciously with Gaia, with some of us who have incarnated, and of course, other beings, all the way up to Mother, Father, God. Okay. That makes so much sense. I know. I can't do weed because causes me to become paranoid. Yeah, like I said, the first time I did weed, I got super paranoid. Most people do, because most of the time you're doing too much to begin with. You just need the slightest little puff of weed, and that's it. And most people just don't do that. They don't know to do that. They just do too much, and you get way too. It doesn't take much. If you've never done it before, and then you do some and you do too much, it's not good. It's your field, your consciousness, your third eye, all of the things just go into a whole other place and space. So anybody who's had that experience, all I can say is consider giving it another shot, and go very, very slow. It'll help you connect. It'll help you feel Gaia. It'll open your heart space. It's good stuff, but you have to do it itsy bitsies. Yeah, Karen says everything exists, like I said. Yeah. You're funny. I like your humor. Oh, thank you so much. In another life, I would be a stand-up comedian because I like to. That's medicine too, Laughter is medicine. That's not a cliche. That's real deal shit. We raise our vibration when we laugh. Humor is so good for us. So it's like I have kind of two worlds in my life. I'm really into comedy and comedians. Both of these guys are comedians, and I love comedians. I love comedy. I love to laugh. It's really good for us. This is why it feels so good to be in a room, like go to shows or watch comedy. And this is why comics are who they are. Not all of them, but most of them are also empaths. Joe is an empath, like I said. Duncan is an empath. A lot of comedians are empaths because empaths, by definition, we're healers in some way. To some degree, we're meant to be injecting light and humor and levity and balance and peace and harmony and unity and all of this. So we have like the different medicines for that. And so some doctors of medicine are comics, are comedians, and that's why it feels so good to laugh and make jokes and be silly and all that good stuff. Dark humor is really good for us too. Okay, so let's finish this up here, and then we'll move to that Tucker. If you guys aren't, let me see. I think this is pretty. Let me just take this a little bit further and see if we're done with this one.
I also gave $100 million to the I Begin initiative.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like they want to help these people. Like there's no industry that's trying to stop it right now.
I found the letter that was submitted, signed by Rep. Anna Luna.
What does this say? This is the disclosure threat?
46 different requests.
Oh yeah, this is all the names of the things.
And I'll switch to here. I found an article where someone's breaking down what some of these are, but some of these are.
So all of this is more of the disclosure stuff, which is all about aliens, UFOs, or what do they call them now? They call them something else. They don't call them UADs or something like that. Anyway, I think the rest of this is about that. And them just trying to figure out the dimensions and what they are and who's what and what's who and all of these things. So there's all these different characters in play, and they get confused with each other depending on the story. So it keeps everybody guessing, and you can see why. But anyway, let's find the Tucker Carlson one. Why is this acting so strange? Oh yeah, the other thing in my life is F1. Really into F1. Oh, okay. Okay, so let's go here and go Joe Rogan, Tucker. Okay, here we go. 1 year ago. Okay, that's probably it right here.
Joe Rogan Podcast, check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
I remember
Train by
correctly.
day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
It is in the very beginning.
Did you see the U.S. government just released, apparently by accident, the Project Aqua stuff? Did you see this?
No. What's that?
This is crazy.
Yeah, I guess we're rolling.
Are we rolling?
Yeah.
No. You can. This is just someone just sent me this. This is
Project Aqua.
Yeah. Hold on. They just released, I think, by accident.
How does that happen?
It's Kona Blue. You familiar with this?
No.
Kona Blue is it was a program that, yeah, dude, I'm going to send this to Homeland Security, just released this.
Send it to me. I'll send it to Jamie.
And, no, I got it right here. I'll just, I don't do email or what. I don't know how to airdrop anything.
You don't do email?
No. I haven't done email in many years.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you exist?
I do text.
Wow. Just text?
Yeah, I don't do email. I don't go on the fucking internet. I don't have a TV. I'm not into that. But anyway.
Wow.
No, that stuff, it's bad, you know.
Yeah, I guess.
That's my isolation tank. I just stay away from that shit. But anyway,
That's smart. Did you text it to me?
Yeah, I did. I think I did.
It didn't get to me.
Yeah, I just sent it. It's a big thing. Okay, so this is so amazing. So this is in there. They're talking about this, and this was just released. We're talking about setting up this program, Conan Blue.
I didn't get it.
This is like a UAP program of some sort.
The medical division will have a small team of medical analysts under the direction of the chief physician and deputy administrator. They will organize data into a threat analysis based on medical findings, including but not limited to A, deaths and injuries as a result of interaction with advanced aerospace vehicles.
Here it is.
B, medical injuries as a result of other anomalies. C, collateral injuries, psychological effects to family members. So they're admitting that people are dying.
It's just like a tweet from
Is this it?
A day or two
Yeah.
ago.
What does that mean?
Other information on here.
Do you ever wonder if stuff like this is just disinformation?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I wonder if I wonder a lot of things.
I'm sure you do.
But
I would always assume that a lot of this stuff is nonsense.
yeah, here's what we know is that U.S. servicemen have died as a result of contact with or being in the proximity of these vehicles. And we know that because there are a lot of suits working their way through the VA system.
Yeah.
Where families, can't get compensated for the deaths or injuries to loved ones.
Because it's all under wraps, top secret.
Well, that's just a fact, okay, that is happening. So if there's, I guess, when there are measurable physical effects of a phenomenon, we can say conclusively the phenomenon is real.
Right.
And so, yeah.
But
I mean,
isn't
it is real. I mean, I guess we're sort of past the point of like, is it real? Yeah, it's real.
It's real in that there's these things that are moving in very bizarre ways, and they have these propulsion systems that violate what we know about propulsion systems. Retrieving data across dimensional space-time, develop remote viewing, comms, and countermeasures, determine baseline for physical transport across dimensional space-time barrier, rapid.
Have any of you guys? I'm gonna stream unavailable. The hell? The heck? What's going on?